The signal that ended the world. The forbidden transmission. It was 2:47 a.m. when the signal arrived. In the dead silence of the Nevada desert, the Black Mountain Observatory hummed with the quiet murmur of machines. Inside, Dr. Eleanor Carter, a leading astrophysicist, stared at her screen, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. The data on her monitor wasn't just unusual, it was impossible. The radio telescope had locked onto an anomalous signal coming from the HD 88194 star system, over 30 light-years away. It pulsed in precise, rhythmic bursts, too structured to be cosmic noise, too unnatural to be a mistake. A deep chill crawled up her spine. The last time astronomers detected an unexplainable signal, it had been the WOW signal in 1977. But this was different. This wasn't random. It carried patterns, structure, language. Her assistant, Ryan, leaned over, eyes wide. "Is it a pulsar?" "No," Carter whispered. "This is a message." They ran the data through decryption software, translating its complex frequency bursts into readable text. The results appeared on the screen. "Do not respond. They will hear you." The lab fell silent. Ryan swallowed. "Who's they?" But Carter wasn't listening anymore. Her gaze was locked on a detail in the metadata. The message hadn't originated from the distant star system. It had originated from Earth. And worse, according to the timestamp, it had been sent from the future. The hidden history of Earth. By dawn, the observatory was surrounded by black SUVs. Men in unmarked suits stormed in, seizing hard drives, notebooks, even personal devices. Dr. Carter and her team were escorted into custody, driven for hours until they reached an underground facility hidden in the Nevada desert. A dimly lit conference room, a single table, a glass of water. Then came the man in black. "Dr. Carter," he said smoothly, sitting across from her. His name tag read Harlan Graves, but his expression was unreadable. "You have no idea what you've uncovered." He slid a thick file across the table. Bold red letters stamped the cover. "Project Silent Dawn." Carter flipped through the pages, her breath catching. The same warning message, "Do not respond," had been intercepted before. 1965, a secret radio transmission at an observatory in Russia. 1892, a coded signal received via Morse transmission on an experimental telegraph. 1357, a medieval manuscript describing a voice from the stars that warned a scholar to stop his research. Every time, someone tried to respond. And shortly after, history recorded mass extinctions, plagues, unexplained disasters. Carter's voice was barely a whisper. What happened to the people who responded? Graves met her gaze. They disappeared. Then he leaned closer. The real question is, what happened to the world that came before them? The blackout. 3 days later, it began. The power grid collapsed in sections across the world. Major cities, New York, London, Tokyo, went dark. GPS satellites failed. Air traffic systems crashed. Planes were grounded. Then came the disappearances. Astronomers reported entire constellations vanishing from the night sky. Stars that had existed for millennia were now gone. At 3:12 a.m., the Pentagon received a final deep space transmission before all systems failed. It was no longer a warning. It was a reply. "We have heard you. We are coming." And above Earth, in the deep, endless void of space, something moved. The world is unraveling. The message has been answered. Something is coming from the darkness. The sky went dark. The first sign of the end was silence. At 3:12 a.m., every satellite, radio telescope, and deep space probe went offline simultaneously. The world's most advanced observatories reported the impossible. Entire constellations had disappeared. Astronomers confirmed the terrifying truth. A massive, growing void was spreading across the sky, swallowing stars, galaxies, entire sections of the universe. Then came the blackouts. Cities flickered into darkness. Power grids collapsed. Planes lost navigation and fell from the sky. The International Space Station vanished without a trace. In the underground research facility, Dr. Carter and her team stared at the last deep space transmission before the systems failed. It was no longer a warning. It was a response. We have heard you. We are coming. And above Earth, in the deep, endless void of space, something moved. The hidden past of humanity. With governments in collapse, Carter and her team had one chance to uncover the truth before the world was erased. They followed classified coordinates to a buried research facility beneath Antarctica, a place that wasn't supposed to exist. Inside, they found the Vault of the Forgotten. Rows of ancient artifacts, far older than human civilization, were stored in vacuum-sealed chambers. They weren't just from Earth. They were from multiple past versions of Earth. Then they found the recordings. A holographic projection flickered to life, revealing a figure, tall, humanoid, but not human. It spoke in a voice that echoed across time itself. The Sky Watchers come when they are called. They do not speak. They do not negotiate. They do not conquer. They erase. The projection shifted, revealing Earth's lost civilizations. Advanced societies that had once thrived but had been wiped from history. Atlantis, Hyperborea, others without names. Each had discovered the signal, each had responded, each had been corrected. Eleanor Carter's breath caught in her throat. Humanity had existed before. Entire versions of Earth had risen, reached their peak, and then vanished. And now, it was happening again. Then the countdown appeared. Across every screen on Earth, numbers burned bright. 59 minutes and 59 seconds. The world had 1 hour left. The final reset. Above Earth, the black void opened wider. Vast alien structures, miles long, shifting like liquid metal, descended through the atmosphere. They weren't ships. They were something else. Something that had been here before. Carter and her team, deep underground, made a final, desperate attempt to jam the signal, trying to prevent the incoming entities from locking onto Earth. But as they worked, the transmission changed. For the first time, the Sky Watcher spoke directly to them. Your existence was an anomaly. IT has run its course. Prepare for correction. The final countdown reached 1 second. Then, the sky turned black. The stars blinked out. The moon vanished. And then nothing. Darkness swallowed the earth. No sound, no light, no existence. Then, in the deep vacuum of space, far beyond human reach, the same signal was sent again. But this time, it was received by another civilization on another world, far away. A scientist on an alien planet looked at her screen, confused by the message. She turned to her team and asked, "What do we do? Do we respond?" And so, the cycle began again. The fractured timeline. For Carter, time did not stop. She opened her eyes to find herself in a place outside of space, a world of shifting realities, where fragments of past civilizations floated in an endless void. The ruins of lost empires drifted around her, broken towers from long-dead societies, statues of rulers who never existed, machines far beyond human comprehension, rusted and silent, and in the center of it all, a great archive. It stretched endlessly, filled with glowing data columns, each one containing the history of a civilization that had once existed and then had been erased. A voice echoed behind her. "You were not meant to remember." She turned. It was the same being from the holographic projection, the ancient figure who had warned of the Sky Watchers. "Who are you?" Carter asked. "We are the Forgotten, the remnants of those who defied correction." Carter realized, with a jolt of terror, that the being before her was neither alive nor dead. It was something in between, caught in the space between existence and erasure. "You are different," it continued. "You remain because you did not accept the erasure. And now you have a choice." It gestured to the archive. "Restore your world, or let the cycle continue." Breaking the cycle. Carter stepped toward the glowing data columns. each holding a forgotten past. Her fingers hovered over the one labeled Earth 7.45. Her Earth. With a deep breath, she pressed her hand against the column. Light erupted around her. The Sky Watchers reacted instantly. The void trembled, their attention shifting toward the disturbance. The Archive's guardian spoke urgently. They know. You must act now. Carter felt herself being pulled back toward existence, back toward Earth. As she vanished, the last words of the guardian rang in her ears. End the signal. She awoke in the Antarctic vault. The countdown was gone. The void above Earth had halted for now. The signal, however, was still being broadcast. And she knew, if humanity ever sent it again, the Sky Watchers would return. Epilogue, the warning. Years later, Carter sat before a global council, presenting her findings. Most refused to believe her. The world had no memory of what had happened. The blackouts, the disappearances, all dismissed as anomalies. The true danger was buried beneath bureaucracy and disbelief. But Carter knew the truth, and as she looked up at the night sky, she whispered the warning to herself. Do not answer the call.